I can't believe that I haven't done this video yet. If you're an avid viewer of my channel, you would know that I love Capcom. They're one of my favorite, if not my favorite video game company of all time. But I noticed I have never did a Capcom top 10 games of all time for me, myself, personally. So let's take care of that in this video. I will be going down my top 10 Capcom games that have helped shape my gaming experience and what these games personally mean to me. Be sure to list your top 10 Capcom games down in the comment section below. Another disclaimer, these are my personal top 10. So don't come to me talking about legacy or games that objectively should be there, because this is my personal list. I cannot stress that enough. Alright, enjoy the video. Let's jump into Cali Q's top 10 Capcom games of all time. Shout out to Capcom, man. Let's jump into the video. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Resident Evil 5. Yes, I know, the controversial Resident Evil, but this was the one for me and still stands for me as my favorite Resident Evil experience of all time. I truly enjoyed the co-op nature that the game introduced to the series, and it's a game that was not too long. It didn't overstay its welcome. It's a nice kind of action-packed take on the survival horror genre, and it kind of changed the trajectory of the Resident Evil series to a lot of people. But for me, it holds a special place in my heart, as I literally platinumed this game because there was something addictive about its gameplay loop. And shout out to my man Chris Boulder, because that part was epic and so nonsensical that this had to become my favorite Resident Evil once he knocked that boulder over. But yeah, the game is just polarizing, but I like it for that nature. It definitely took more of an action take on the Resident Evil genre, but it's something that I can't quite get over. I know this is not a lot of people's favorites, but that makes it my favorite even more because it just stands out. It's different. Again, maybe it's the Chris effect, but I really enjoyed this game. I can never get over the nights of playing co-op with my cousins and my friend, and it just gave us an experience that we have never ever thought we needed, but we absolutely had to have. So Resident Evil 5 is starting off my Capcom list because I think it's unique, I think it's great, and it's my favorite, and no one can tell me otherwise because Chris is the best protagonist ever. Alright, moving on. At 10.5, yes, I lied, we have Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. Now, this is a more recent Capcom title that just came out in 2024, but there's no way that I could have done my top 10 Capcom games of all time and have not included this title. It is such a unique and breath of fresh modern air, and I believe that it deserves to be recognized as much as possible, even to the point where this game became my game of the year for 2024. I was very skeptical of this game when it was first announced because I had no idea what the title even consisted of. The title really doesn't have a target audience, and it struggled to find its footing when it came to sales. But that's what every single underrated, unique game that tries to do something different. This game is categorized as a tower defense, and this is a subgenre of strategy games where the goal is to defend a player's territories or possessions, but in this case, you're defending Yoshiro, the goddess. And it just created a beautiful experience for me, combined with the music, the aesthetic, and the impressive gameplay, strategies and decisions that you have to make. It was exactly what I needed in a modern time that was feeling a little bit dull to me. So yes, this game impacted me so much so that it has hit my top 10 Capcom games of all time. Will it stay here? Well, it'll have to stand the test of time, but as of right now, this was one of my funnest Capcom experiences I have ever had, and I truly recommend this game. At number 9, we have Street Fighter 6, and this is actually the only Street Fighter that will be on this list because this is my favorite Street Fighter game of all time. Yes, the modern version can be someone's favorite. A lot of folks always think there has to be nostalgia tinted glasses on for something to be considered someone's favorite. I think Street Fighter 6 is an absolutely phenomenal package, from its world tour mode to its character customization and creation, all the way to the interactions of meeting the world warriors from the Street Fighter universe. This game has went further than any Street Fighter game in developing the lore and characterization of the characters. Couple that with its robust online gameplay, its battle hub, and just its amazing aesthetic all the way around, Street Fighter 6 is one of the best, if not the best, modern fighting game that has came out in the last 5 years. Yes, I'm going that far, not just because I was wearing my Ryu shirt at the beginning of this video. That's just how I really feel. And a fun fact is, I started off really disliking this game's announcement and its reveal, as I thought it was cheap and I thought this was just a continuation of the train wreck that Street Fighter V was. But there has been no bigger game to make me eat my words than Street Fighter 6. I'm in love with this game. I think it's an incredible package that Capcom delivered, and it is more than worthy to become one of my favorite Capcom games of all time. And like I said earlier, it is my favorite Street Fighter game of all time as well. So I got Street Fighter 6 at number 9. At number 8, we have Dead Rising 2 with my man Chuck Green. A lot of folks had always talked about Dead Rising 1 with my man Frank West, shout out to Frank, as being the best Dead Rising game. But my personal favorite that will always have a spot in my heart is Dead Rising 2. There was just something about Fortune City, the music, Chuck Green protecting his daughter, everything just clicked for me. And to be fair, it was my first Dead Rising experience. The series has not been the same ever since this game has came out, because this game set such a high standard that no game following it has been able to match. With its introduction of cool combo weapons and its introduction of co-op, I think this was the peak Dead Rising experience, and like I just said, there hasn't been another experience close to what Fortune City and Chuck Green managed to hack us with. I love this game so much so that this was another Capcom game that I took the time to platinum and get every single trophy at the time, because I couldn't get enough of this world and I couldn't get enough of Chuck Green. Dead Rising 2, I hope you get a remaster or HD remake. Please, Capcom, give us DR2 DR2 or DR2, please. Coming in at number 7 is Monster Hunter World. This game right here. As an avid fan of Monster Hunter since 2005, when the only way you could find out about Monster Hunter was through a Game Informer magazine and you had to go to Media Play in order to find a copy because the game was so niche, Monster Hunter World is an example of what happens when an underdog achieves massive success. This game has changed the entire trajectory of the Monster Hunter franchise, not just the franchise, but the entire company of Capcom. This game is an example of you should never ever give up, because one day everything that you've been practicing, everything you've been doing may come to fruition, and it may come to fruition in a big, gigantic way. This game was perfect. I loved everything about Monster Hunter World, and it would be much higher up on the list if I hadn't already had so many nostalgia glasses on for the titles that will come after it. But I love Monster Hunter World. I think it's amazing world building, coupled with its new attempt to try a Monster Hunter story, and just the way that it revolutionized the Monster Hunter series, will forever have it as one of my favorite games of all time. It's such a monumental moment for this franchise that I have loved for so long, and it deserves to be on my list of top 10 Capcom games of all time. Such a beautiful experience, and to be honest, dare I say it, I like it still much more than Wilds, but that's another video. Number 6 is that Marvel, baby. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is responsible for such a huge part of my love for fighting games. The jazzy soundtrack, the insane amount of characters, the brokenness, the aesthetic, everything about Marvel 2 is just simply fighting game perfection, especially if you love infinite combos and curly mustaches. Man, I couldn't be more excited that Capcom just released the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, because this title will forever be one of the pillars of my gaming experience. It is what got me all the way in when it comes to fighters, and it's still one of my favorite fighters to this very day. And I'll never forget the first time I played it on my Sega Dreamcast, and I was just thinking, wow, this is the power of a Dreamcast. This is the power of what a real fighting game looks like. And honestly, it deserves its spot on everybody's top 10 list for just its nature. And let's not forget, at one point these games were impossible to track down, especially for a decent price. So I'm so glad that we're in the state that we're in now. All I can say is it's Marvel, baby. My top 5 Capcom games of all time is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I just made a video talking about that this is my favorite fighting game of all time. And let me put this out there. I have never been more excited for a video game than prior to the release of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The way that they did the marketing on this game was absolutely phenomenal. Each week we're trying to decipher trailers and decipher little hints and clues as to what the character roster may be. The build up, the collaboration. This game had a series of trailers that told a story without any vocals, without any voices being told. That's how incredible and magical this moment was when it came to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 finally becoming a reality. I love this game, and as I said, I don't think I felt a greater hype in my life. The actual product is beautiful. I love the comic book vibe and theme that they went with. The roster is great. The gameplay is great. The music is great. And to this day, I have no idea how we fell off and went from this to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This was the peak of the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. Yes, come at me, my MVC 2 bros, but I'm standing on that. MVC 3 is the best packaged Marvel game that we have ever received, and it's just a bummer that we were not able to expand upon the momentum that this game built. But it's MVC 3 all day, baby, every day. I will rep it until the end of time. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is my favorite fighting game of all time. Coming in at number 4 is the Misadventures of Tron Bonne. Games like this is why games like Marvel vs. Capcom hold such a huge weight to me. The character Tron is pretty much a niche character that's just a secondary character in the Mega Man Legends franchise, and yet she was included in those games. But let's talk about her game itself. So once upon a time, Tron Bonne did get her own game in between the Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. This game was an amalgamation of different categories when it came to what a game can do. This game had puzzle solving, it had action, it had mystery solving, and it even had an HQ team building system where you could train your servbots to be more effective on the field, because on the field you can give them directives and things to do, and depending on their certain stats and skill, each of the 40 servbots were good at something else. Some servbots were skilled in cooking, some servbots were skilled with slingshots, some servbots could even whip out a grenade, or some servbots were super fast. This game had this team building mechanic where you could literally train each and every single individual servbot to your liking, or depending on what their limitations may have been. The premise of the story is that pretty much Tron Bonne and her crew, they're actually pirates. They're low-key gangsters. So when you guys see Tron Bonne, don't just think she's some little girl. She's actually robbing banks and stealing things inside of this game, her and her little serv thugs. This game made such a huge impact on me when I was a kid. I couldn't get over how cute the servbots were, and I couldn't get over how this game took something that I loved from Mega Man Legends and turned it into this hybrid sort of concept with these different things it was trying to do here. I think this game was a very experimentative game for Capcom, and it's very niche. But if you play it, you would be like, wow, this is a very interesting game that they were going with here. But I love the Misadventures of Tron Bonne. It's why I love the character so much, and it's one of my favorite experiences I've ever had in gaming. Coming in at number 3 is Mega Man Legends 1. Listen, my top 5 all pretty much has something to do with each other. I love Tron Bonne so much because I love Mega Man Legends so much. This is the game that started it all. Mega Man's exploration into the 3D world. And I still think it's one of the most underrated efforts into 3D exploration I've ever seen. This game came out in '98 and it was doing the things that people love The Legend of Zelda for, but it doesn't have that Nintendo backing, nor was it as big of a scope as that game. But Mega Man Legends should be respected in its own right. It combined the nature of Mega Man shooting this Buster Cannon with the exploration and being what they call diggers in this universe, where they search for treasure and go on these adventures to eventually find the Mother Lode. Now listen, I will always have a deep love for this game because of its beautiful Saturday morning cartoon 90s aesthetics and graphics. I mean, just look at the graphics. They take you back to a time where everything was just all right, you know? And the game surprisingly has some decent, serviceable voice acting as well. But just being on the island of Catalogs and just talking to its people, fighting the Bonds, fighting Tron Bond here and there. I just love this game. The ruins, the dungeons that you go into, they're mysterious, they're creepy, and dare I say it, the music in this game when it came to those ruins may even be on par with the early Resident Evil titles. That's how ominous and scary the Mega Man Legends games were at a time. But I will forever love Mega Man Volna, and this title was responsible for my entire love of Capcom. So that's a pretty big deal right there, and we got Mega Man Legends at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is a game that if there was anything to match Marvel vs. Capcom Mega Man Legends for me, it is Monster Hunter Freedom 2. If you know, you know. If you were there, you were there. This game for me on my PSP was the only thing that I was thinking about day and night when I was a kid in middle school. I'd wake up thinking about which monsters to go after. I'd come home from school thinking about which monsters to go after. Me and my best friend would always link up and play PlayStation Portable ad hoc in the basement, and we would just spend hours upon hours traversing and exploring the world of Monster Hunter Freedom 2. Talk about a perfect sequel to Monster Hunter Freedom. This game was the game that set it off for my love for Capcom and my love for Monster Hunter in general. That's why when I say these earlier Capcom Monster Hunter titles were just special. Yes, things have to grow and evolve, but sometimes some things just feel like home. And Monster Hunter Freedom, for me, this game right here just feels like home. It feels like a cozy place to come to after you've had a stressful day. I spent countless amounts of hours in this game, and its impact that it had on me to this day is literally responsible for the love that I have for Monster Hunter. There's just so many special stories that I could share with you guys about this game's impact on me, but this by far is the best way that I can put it. Monster Hunter Freedom 2 is one of my favorite Capcom games of all time, and it's one of my favorite video games of all time. Mega Man Legends 2 is my favorite Capcom video game of all time. It takes everything that I love about Tron Bond, Mega Man Legends 1, and just perfects it in a way that has still been one of my most video game defining experiences ever. The exploration was better. I thought the story was better. The controls were better. And just everything that I loved about Mega Man Legends 1, I felt it was so much better in Mega Man Legends 2. There are some things about 1 that maybe it has a little bit more charm, and we all love the Apple market, but Mega Man Legends 2 was the correct progression that I wanted to see of this franchise. And I feel like it was just getting good. But there's so many fond memories I have on this game. December 2000, I received this game as a Christmas present, and I remember thinking this was the greatest video game ever created. Now that I'm a little bit older, obviously there are things that it could have done better. And, you know, in hindsight, when you're a child, you think every grand adventure you go on is the greatest. But every year I replay Mega Man Legends 2, I'm still impressed by how much fun that I have. And it solidifies that Mega Man is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and Mega Man Volna is my favorite Mega Man character of all time. Just this entire world of Legends is something that I want to see come back, and I would lose my mind if we could ever finally get a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection, but that's neither here nor there. Mega Man Legends 2 is my favorite Capcom video game of all time, and I don't see that ever changing. Hopefully, one day Capcom will make my dreams come true and bring Mega Man Legends back from the dead. Until then, this will forever be the game that made me love Capcom. Wait a second, when did I get this Legends shirt? But there you have it, guys. That is my top 10 Capcom games of all time. You know we rep the Mega Man Legends all day. Let me know your top 10 in the comment section below, and I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Man, I haven't done a top 10 in so long, so it was fun to do it about a company I'm so passionate about. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all, man. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.